Welcome to the channel. Today we will recap the 5th season of the Peaky Blinders series. Make sure to check the other seasons' recaps in the description if you haven't. By order of the Peaky Blinders, like and subscribe. October 29, 1929. Tommy travels to a phone booth on Licky Hills where on the phone Arthur reads a letter from Angels of Retribution which states that they have never even heard of Peaky Blinders and therefore are not scared of their threats. Tommy sends Aberama and Isaiah to send a message to them and tells Finn to stay out of it. But Finn, with the desire to prove himself, joins them and during a shootout gets shot in the arm. Meanwhile, Michael, who runs the Peaky Blinders in the United States, gets a message that Wall Street has crashed and leaves for Birmingham with his lover Gina. Tommy gets the news from Arthur about the stock market crash and becomes furious after learning that Michael held on even after being instructed not to do so. Tommy calls for a board meeting where it is clear that Linda is infuriated by the fact that Tommy made Arthur the chairman of the company so that he could maintain a clean image and let others do his dirty work. Later, the exclusive members of the Peaky Blinders have a family meeting at the Garrison pub where Tommy reveals that Aberama and Isaiah were sent to kill a pimp who was blackmailing a senior member of House of Lords. During the meeting, Polly tells Tommy and Arthur that Ada is pregnant. At the House of Commons, Tommy meets Oswald Mosley and later threatens Lord Suckerby, the lord who had commissioned Shelby to kill the pimp to protect his reputation, for paying the full contract amount. Michael Levitt, a journalist, conducts an interview with Tommy and asks him questions about his past with a view to damaging his image as MP, but Tommy outmaneuvers him by threatening to expose Levitt's homosexuality. Levitt is later killed by two men. Tommy wakes up and sees a scarecrow in his farmland dressed up as him. Confused and angry, he approaches the scarecrow where he finds a note and quickly discovers that he is standing in the midst of landmines. Carefully he makes his way through the field, saving his son Charles in the process and ragefully shooting the mines and the scarecrow. At his mansion, Tommy gets a call from Captain Swing, who informs him that she has captured Michael from the men who supposedly want to kill Tommy and asks whether to spare him or kill him. As per Tommy's request, Michael walks free. At the Garrison, Arthur and Tommy warn Finn not to get involved with guns, and Tommy tells Arthur that he doesn't sleep because he dreams that someone wants his crown and that it might be Michael. Polly and Arthur go to the station to receive Michael, where he introduces his new wife Gina Gray. Polly tells Michael that he won't be coming home until he tells the truth about what happened at the dock and gets a suite for him. Tommy and Ada meet with Mr. Mosley where Tommy tells Mr. Mosley that Ada, Tommy's political advisor, advised against meeting him as he seems to be moving in the direction of fascism. At the Garrison, Tommy tells Polly about his black cat dream, which implies that there is a traitor close by. Michael tells his side of story that he wanted a witness for his and Gina's wedding and he found a purser, whose friends at the dock came on board and started talking to Michael about Tommy having a bullet in his name, and that's when IRA caught him and told him that the men he was talking to were the Billy Boys. Meanwhile, in a forest, the Billy Boys shoot Aberama in the shoulder and kill his son Bonnie after crucifying him. A wounded Aberama goes to Tommy's house with Johnny Dogs, whom he supposes to be the traitor, as he and the Lee boys were the only ones that knew about their position. Enraged, Lizzie comes out with a gun and Tommy calms her down. Tommy and Polly head towards a Catholic orphanage to shut down funding after receiving grim reports of violence against children that led to one committing suicide by hanging. Aberama Gold, while recovering at the hospital, is taken to a gypsy camp by Polly and told to lay low, but he disobeys orders and departs to Scotland to wage war against the Billy Boys in revenge for the death of Bonnie, prompting Tommy to send Arthur and Johnny Dogs to travel there and rescue Gold. Arthur, falling deeper in decay through alcohol and cocaine abuse, agrees to go to Scotland in exchange for the whereabouts of one of Linda's friends, whom he ends up beating, blinding and disfiguring when he fails to get Linda's whereabouts. Linda herself wishes to divorce from Arthur, but Lizzie discourages her. Lizzie confides to Tommy, allowing herself to be used by him in exchange for Tommy allowing Linda to heal his haunted mind. Michael continues to be given degrading orders as punishment for losing Tommy's fortune in the Wall Street crash and his supposed alignment with Captain Swing, nearly reaching a breaking point. Despite Ada attempting to sway otherwise, Gina is adamant on departing with Michael back to New York so they can have their son, and tries to convince Polly to go along. Mosley, in a meeting with Tommy, Arthur, and Michael, utilizes his leverage of withholding investigations of the murder of Mr. Levitt to coerce Tommy into joining the soon-to-be-created British Union of Fascists. Tommy reluctantly agrees in order to infiltrate their organization and become an informant. In Scotland, Aberama Gold and his men have a violent confrontation with a group of Billy Boys, which ends with Gold pouring hot tar on one of them and swearing revenge on Jimmy McCavern for his son's death. The following morning, McCavern and the Billy Boys seek retaliation against Gold by raiding his camp, only to discover it has been booby-trapped with grenades planted by Gold and Arthur, killing several of McCavern's men. Tommy and Arthur meet with Chang, a Chinese triad businessman who uses an assassin posing as a hooker to hold Finn at gunpoint, to discuss a lucrative opium shipment, whose value is promised to make up for the losses at the Wall Street crash. Tommy meets with Jimmy McCavern to form a truce, especially given their mutual connection to Oswald Mosley, and uses this to test the opium shipment. To keep the truce, Tommy forces Aberama Gold to withhold his quest for vengeance, offering a marriage to Polly in return. Oswald, in a meeting with Tommy, confides that he knows of Lizzie's past as a prostitute, and in response Tommy tells Oswald that he is aware of the latter's affairs with his sister-in-law and his wife's stepmother. Tommy, despite attempting to both hold his House of Commons standing in his agreement with Mosley, continues hallucinating about Grace, to the point of almost committing suicide, as he confesses to Ada, who in turn suggests he withdraw from opium himself. In an eventful private exhibition of Swan Lake in Tommy's estate, which Mosley attends, Gold proposes to Polly, who accepts. Michael tells Gina that he will be taking on the Blinders' opium business, and lured by the amount of money they'll earn, Gina accepts. Arthur is confronted by Linda, who attempts to shoot him in retaliation for Arthur disfiguring her friend, but is shot by Polly. Tommy, Polly and Arthur tend to Linda's gunshot wound, and as she recovers, she abandons Arthur. Mosley uses the stage at the end of the Swan Lake to make an impassionate speech concerning the advent of fascist movement in Great Britain, which all the Shelbys witness, in particular his anti-Semitist sentiment. Tommy attempts to deliver information and evidence to a hesitant Ben Younger, who informs him both the government, the Ministry of Defense and Section D are all in support of Mosley, as they believe him to be a bulwark against a possible communist insurgency. As he leaves with the evidence, Ben is killed by a bomb in his car which also kills a child playing football in the street. Tommy informs Ada of Ben's death, who in turn reveals Ben wasn't aware of Ada's pregnancy with his child. Arthur, Charlie, Curly, Aberama Gold and Isaiah head to meet Chang and load the opium within their boat, but are attacked on arrival by unknown assailants who became aware of Chang's deal with Tommy. Tommy meets with Barney, an old comrade from the Great War, and helps him escape from the insane asylum he is locked in exchange for assassinating Mosley. Tommy is called at the House of Commons by Winston Churchill, who inquires Tommy on his affiliation with the Fascist Party, whom Tommy informs it's an infiltration. At a meeting, Michael and Gina attempt to propose a total restructuring of the Peaky Blinders Company, which Tommy rebukes and Michael declares open rebellion, being cast out of the Peaky Blinders. Aunt Polly later resigns from the company. At the garrison, Tommy and Arthur execute Mickey, the bartender, after it's discovered he was the one who informed on both Ben Younger's meeting with Tommy prior to his death, as well as Arthur's ambush at London. Tommy then travels to Margate to ask for help from Alfie Solomons, to stage a mutiny at Mosley's rally as a cover for the assassination. Finn accidentally spills the assassination plan to Billy Grade, who runs the fixed football racket, who makes a telephone call even though he receives a bribe for his silence. At the rally, Tommy saves Jesse from being arrested as the communists attempt a protest. The assassination plan backfires at the nick of time, however, as Barney, who prepares to fire, is executed by an unknown person with a silencer pistol, and Aberama Gold is killed when he attempts to kill Jimmy McCavern. Mosley's rally is a success as Tommy breaks down in the aftermath. The following day, in the middle of the morning mist, his torment over last night's events and Grace's apparition drive Tommy over the edge, screaming as he keeps a pistol pointed to his head, intent on committing suicide. By order of the Peaky Blinders, like, subscribe, and check out this other clips. Thank you for watching and see you soon.